Hey guys, welcome to Jack's Reading Corner. I'm Jack, and just like this is my second off day video where I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna read today. I was gonna make this early in this morning when I got up, like at the last one, where I was still in my pajamas, but I could not sleep last night. I was up until like 4 in the morning, and the only thing I could come up with is that because I ate sweet tea, 2 glasses of sweet drink. You don't eat tea, you drink it. I drank 2 glasses of sweet tea at dinner, so I think that caffeine from the sweet tea kept me up all night, which was really annoying and upsetting because I do not like when I can't fall asleep. And even though I didn't have to get up early if I didn't want to, and I don't have work today, unless, like I said, they could potentially call me. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen, especially because I have to rely on Uber since my parents just left to see my cousin's volleyball game in Raleigh. Not big on actually watching sporting events, so I opted not to go. And well, actually, it's more like I forgot about it. But I probably would have said no even if I did keep a mental note of it, because to me, just staying there watching the game is kind of boring, especially when I don't understand most sporting games. And I'm not, and no one ever explains it to me, and I feel like it's probably something it has to be explained to you when you're watching it. And I don't think most people have the patience to do that for someone like me. So, I'm gonna update you guys real quick what I'm gonna read today. I did start a little bit reading this morning while I was, after breakfast, and that is, I am still reading Assassin's Apprentice. As you can see, I am very close to the end. It's one of these, and it's so frustrating because Robin Hobb's chapters are so long. I think there's one of those tag videos, one of them asked, do you prefer long or short chapters? I can't remember what the tag is called. It's one of those either or tags. And I think I prefer short chapters. I mean, I'm okay if I'm really into it and it's a really exciting book, then yeah, I might be okay with longer chapters. And this one, it's not that I'm not into it. I am engaged in the story and really enjoying the sequel to Assassin's Apprentice. It's just, it's a character study, so it's not always exciting. It's a lot of characters, talking and stuff like that, and which is interesting because I don't like war books that are about the battle itself. I prefer the politics, and ironically, this kind of has that, where it talks about the politics, but in this case, sometimes it's not always as, well, that's why. I mean, I am engaged, but it's still frustrating when when her chapters are so dang long. Especially when I want to get it done so I can get back into reading Hero of Ages, the last book of the Mistborn, the first Era trilogy. Because, as I've said before, what I've been doing with Robin Hobb and Brandon Sanderson is going back and forth between their books. I don't want to read them at the same time. So this is real. It is good though. Either way, I am engaged in this. I am enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not. But it's just sometimes it can be a little slow. Put it that way. But oh my god, I feel so bad for this guy, for Vince, because everyone is always on his case, both good guys and bad guys, and they just won't leave him alone. And spoiler alert, he finally tells his love interest Molly what he does, and she thinks he's lying. She doesn't believe him. She doesn't understand why he puts both his kings, King Shrewd and the king's son, Prince Verity, before her. And on the one hand, I totally sympathize with her, but on the other hand, I'm so frustrated with her because it's like, both, she needs to understand and be more patient with him, because she assumes he doesn't love her, but that is so not the truth. He does. He loves her more than anything. But first of all, I do think Sam's theory, actually it's not Sam from Sam's Nonsense Theory, but she heard a theory that she feels like in the first book, King Shrewd had skilled Fitz to being completely devoted to him and to like, supposedly love no one else. And I think that is the case. I think that's why he cannot, part of the reason why he can't just run away with Molly, because he is devoted to his king. But I also think it's the fact that no one will let him. They will never let him just run away with Molly. They won't let him get away with it. I mean, although I'm sure it would save Regal a whole lot of trouble if he just let Fitz run away. But I don't know if, I think he would rather kill Fitz, because there's always that fear that, Fitz will sell him out or something. Not that people won't believe Fitz, though. So maybe not. Because, I mean, he's still a bastard. But I feel so bad for the kid. The guy, actually, I mean, well, I guess he's a kid in this book. He's still a kid in this book. Not like a kid as in under the age of 12. I mean, I think he's like 15 or 16 now. Maybe 18, I don't know. So he's close to legally being an adult. So he's a kid, and he's a kid as in he's younger than me, put it that way. But I feel so bad for him. People are so hard on him, and he has to make so many sacrifices. And, he's probably thinking that as much as it breaks his heart to lose Molly and to see her with another guy, I think a part of him will probably think it's better this way, even though it hurts me so much, and she doesn't know how much I love her, that maybe it's better and she'll be safe. And maybe it's because this is from a male's perspective, but in this case, I kind of can see why he's doing the whole protective male thing. And plus, I mean, unlike some of those YA heroines I read about, Molly, yes, she's very feisty and she's tough, but she's not like a warrior. She's she can't necessarily protect herself. Like, for instance, in The Falconer, like, Alina, I really need to look up her name, can do. She can protect herself. Of course, you could argue that Gavin does not realize that she did not know until after the fact. And, of course, that book is set in the 1800s, so guys will feel like women are damsels in distress. But anyway, this book is it's so good, but so frustrating at the same time. It's so engaging, and I want to finish it so I can watch Sam from Sam's Nonsense, her discussion video on this book. I want to see what she thinks, whether she agrees with me or not about the whole, like, for instance, about Molly and everything. Does she think Molly's being a little unfair to Fitz? But like I said, at the same time, I guess it's kind of is understandable to an extent. So I'm just going to bring 3 books, although the urge to bring more than 3 is still there, because every time I look at my shelves, like, I don't know, whenever I go even if I'm just going to the used bookstore, the Givens bookstore, which is what I'm going to do, because, I mean, it's finally sunny again, and it's going to be in the 60s today, so it's like, I have to get out of the house. I can't stand. I mean, I know I'll probably get out around like 3 or 4 because I'm gonna go for a run like I usually do, because we finally have sunny weather, and hopefully by then the puddles won't be as big. But yeah, that's the one thing I hate. I hate running when puddles and mud are unavoidable in the way I run. It kind of is, well. Yeah, if I go the other way, too, it will still be unavoidable. It doesn't matter which way I go. There'll still be puddles and mud possibilities. So hopefully, because the sun is out, it's so bright, which is so awesome. And I wouldn't mind, if I had to go to work, I wouldn't, again, knock on wood that they don't decide to call me. If I had to go, though, I wouldn't mind, because at least it'll be sunny. If, like, as far as if they sent me out in the parking lot to get the carts, if I was scheduled for the parking lot. Although if they call me, I wouldn't. Well, I guess they can add me on the schedule if they called me. I keep talking about, so I keep thinking, okay, I gotta knock on wood so they don't actually call me, because I don't want to jinx it. Okay, so before I risk jinxing them, let me get back to telling you what anyway, basically, I'm saying that I feel like even if I'm just going to the Givens bookstore, I feel like I look at my shelf and it's like, oh, I have to bring this one. Oh, I should bring this one. And, you know, even if I don't ever get to those books, I only, like, read 1 or 2 books. So I have to try to resist the urge to just bring these 3 books, because these are the ones I'm pretty far as far as reading goes. But, yeah, when I look at my shelves, I'm thinking, oh, I gotta read this book. Oh, I've neglected this book. Oh, I should read this one. Or I want to read this one now, because I just bought it and it's all shiny and new. But, anyway, so I'm gonna also bring Crime and Punishment, because as you can see, I'm pretty far in that, more than halfway, but not as close to the end as I am with Royal Assassin. This is I actually am really engaged in the story. There's always that fear with classics, especially the original classics, that they might bore you, and you're only reading because you feel like you have to read them. But I'm enjoying this. I'm having a fun time. I'm having an engaging time with it. It's not the most fun story ever, but it's definitely interesting, and definitely has some very interesting ideas. Like, the whole idea of our protagonist, Raskolnikov. He thinks that certain people of higher intelligence could technically get away with committing crimes, which is what he's trying to do. He murdered this female pawnbroker and then her sister, which I think that one was like a more spontaneous decision. Like, it was like he panicked, and when she showed up, it was like, you don't want anyone to, risk exposing you, so how are you gonna solve the problem? You kill them too. And he's like, his friend still does not know. And he's wondering, how is, resume, I'm trying to think, what is his name? Let me see if I can find his name. Where is it? Where is it? Either way, I can't find the friend's name. His friend, he still does not know, and Raskolnikov is wondering, how's my rodeo is wondering, rodeo, I need to really get the pronunciation of these names, but, it's like, I'm just reading this, no one's here, I'm not reading this in school or anything, so, and I'm not, so I'm like, not. But, he's wondering, how is his friend gonna react when he tells him? Of course, I'm wondering, is he gonna believe him? He's probably gonna, at first, his first reaction will be like, oh, you're joking, you're like making a joke, right? You're not serious. And then he's gonna realize, oh, you are. You actually murdered someone. Shit. The guy who Duna was, the guy she was working for that kind of hit on her, his wife just died, his second wife, and he showed up wanting to talk to Raskolnikov, to Duna, and Raskolnikov was like, that ain't gonna happen. You crazy, you batshit crazy. I'm not gonna let you near my sister. And, he just told his friend, who, as I mentioned in a previous video, has a crush on Duna. Just like everybody else, apparently. I guess she's really pretty and really sweet. She seems like a sweet person. It's just funny that 3 guys love her, are all into her and stuff. I don't know about this other guy, the third guy, the rich guy that is like, I guess he's probably like into, as in he, But I still don't know what to think about this guy. The rich guy who's promised to marry her. I mean, he seems kind of arrogant, and maybe he is kind of controlling. I don't know. I don't know what I think about him. I don't know because we know Raskolnikov is a little on the crazy side right now. And I'm guessing that he's feeling guilty, but he's trying not to feel guilty, and that's why he's going a little nuts. And he is such a drama queen. He's like, you're all torturing me. When he wants everybody to go away, he's like, you're torturing me. Why do you torture me? So, if, when people protest about him sending them away, he's like, he just freaks out, and everyone's so worried about his precious feelings and upsetting him that it's like, okay, then we'll leave. But, yeah, so those are my thoughts about that book so far. And the last book I'm gonna bring with me is The Essex Servant. I'm still reading The Essex Servant. And maybe it's because I'm not completely devoted to this book and my mind is on several other books right now and all the other books that I need to read right now. But there are times in this book, there are moments when I get confused. Like, Martha seems to have a separate story, and I don't understand what's going on in that. Like, she's in love, either she's in love with the Spencer guy or the other guy. I just read a scene where she was talking to him. But I don't get her plot. I do, but, so I don't, like, she knows something, or, I don't understand her part of the plot. Like her subplot. But currently, the guy that is in love with Cora, the other guy from back home, from her old home, what's his name? Let me see if I can find his name. Luke, that's Luke. Dr. Luke Garrett shows up, and Cora wrote to him to help her with Joanna, because there was this weird incident at Joanna's school where Joanna's friend Naomi and a bunch of the other girls in the class started, laughing, this weird fit of laughter. So, and it spreads around town, and Joanna doesn't want to talk about it, and she, so Cora writes to her doctor friend Luke Garrett, who's Lucas Garrett, who's in love with Cora, to show up and help find out what's going on with what exactly happened, because Joanna's just not talking. And he has this new, of course, this is in the 1800s. Yeah, 1893. So 19th century, not the 18th century, the 19th century. It's so weird. That just has been bugging me, because my dad, we do trivia night at my work, and the woman who hosts it, is a teacher, and him and her and some of the other people at trivia night were arguing, and they said that the early 1900s is not the 20th century, it's the 19th century, and it's like, no! That's the 20th century. We are in the 21st century. That's the 20th century. Is the early 1900s to 1999. It's just, I don't know why things like that just really bug me. So, like I said, 1893 is the 19th century, not the 18th century. Just because it's the same, it's 18 and 18. It does not mean it's the same as 18th century. If it just annoys me. But anyway, so he shows up, and Stella's all cool with the situation because she's desperate to know what happened with her little girl and her daughter in this event, and she's worried about her. So she willingly lets him do it. But then I guess they did not warn Will that it was going to happen. He knew the doctor was coming, but he didn't know the doctor was big on hypnosis or anything. So he shows up, and then he totally freaks out. He gets all mad, and he's like, because he's worried, he's freaking out seeing his daughter under hypnosis, and he's like, what'd you do to her? What's wrong? And of course this, upset Cora, because she considers Will her friend, and also, she was trying to help Joanna. She did not intend to hurt Joanna. And that's what happens. And of course, this Luke guy is so, this Luke guy, he's, like I said, he's in love with Cora, and he feels threatened by Will, because, she's calling him by his first name, she's not addressing him by his last name, because, if you call a guy by the first name back in the day, it's like, that means you're incredibly familiar with them. Although, Cora is not, she's a very modern woman compared to, or at least modern for these times, I feel like. and I think she's also kind of, ironically, I feel like she's very cynical, she's become cynical about love because of what happened with her and her husband and how he treated her. So it's like the whole idea of her being in love with Will and Luke being in love with her and him freaking out is a little bit funny, and it almost kind of annoys me because it's like, dear God, she can't be without a man. She can't, she can't just consider Will a friend. Of course, this is the 1800s, and apparently women had to get married, or else they were judged, and it's like, oh, something's wrong with you if you don't want to get married, or if you don't marry right after, and you just, that happened actually in Downton Abbey. One of the characters there, where, one of the characters dies, and then the spouse, with the wife, people keep the guys keep, pestering her and be like, they all like her and want to marry her, and the girl's husband just died, the woman's husband just died, and it's been, maybe, at the longest, a few months, maybe a year, and everyone keeps flirting with her and wanting to all in love with her. It's like, okay, her husband has been dead for, yes, maybe for a while, but still, she's not going to just get over it overnight. But it's so annoying because back then, I would hate to be a woman back then, is all I gotta say. Because yes, I love reading historical fiction set back then, back in the 1800s or the early 1900s. But this doesn't mean, or medieval times, but I don't want to live in that time period. I'm so glad I'm a woman born in the 20th century, late 20th century. And that, I can vote. I was able to, vote legally by 18. I can wear pants. I don't have to wear a dress all the time if I don't want to. I can have the same jobs. Yes, there are still prejudice against women, and men will still judge women and will sexually assault women. But, women will do the same thing to men. That it's, I'm either, so not only that, but I also can be independent, and I can get a job, I can work, I don't have to just, if I don't want to get married or have babies, it's not a big a deal. I mean, some people will still be surprised, you don't want to have babies? Oh, or when you say, you express you're not interested, they assume that, oh, don't worry, you'll find someone, or, oh, you're gonna, it's not too late to have babies when you say that, oh, I'm probably not gonna have kids, ever, and they're like, oh, don't worry, it will happen for you, it could still happen for you. It's like, no, maybe I just don't want to, I feel like I almost have to explain it. I mean, and now, this isn't just about finding a guy. I mean, I do want to find romantic love someday. I would like to, but it's not going to be the end of the world if I don't. Yes, it will be kind of sad, being alone, but it's not going to be I'm not going to be considered an old maid or a spinster if I don't. But speaking of, let me just mention, this book I'm not going to bring with me because it's in a bind-up, one of those Barnes & Noble editions, but I am reading Persuasion. Let me get that book that it comes in, by Jane Austen. I'm reading, this is her, fancy Barnes & Noble edition. Looks like an old book, which I really love. So I guess in a way I am guilty of cover buying sometimes, or thinking about a book's aesthetics. But, so I try not to be, most of the time I don't, but I understand definitely the physical appeal of something like this. I like books that look old-fashioned. But I am buddy reading Persuasion with Terry from Florida. Because unfortunately, it's just hard for me to find books that I can buddy read with her because she's a little more particular than I am. She doesn't, I'm a little bit more open to exploring different types of books. I mean, again, like everybody else, I have books that I just won't read. I have no interest in erotica. And ironically, she loves romance. Not fantasy. I love fantasy. and so does she, but she's particular. But it's funny that she loves romance. It's one of her number one favorite genres, but me, on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of romance. Not as much as I used to be. I mean, I read Twilight, and I was one of the people who actually liked it. I know. How dare I like Twilight because it's so bad. But, I like Twilight, and I enjoyed The Host, too. I actually liked The Host. And I personally feel like it was better than Twilight. And I read Nicholas Sparks. I had a thing for Nicholas Sparks. I read almost all of his books, not all of them, or at least all the ones that were out at the time when I was into him, which is like early 2000s. But this is the closest I go to romance now, either books like this or like a book like Gone with the Wind. So, it's easy because they know that she'll probably more likely like a Jane Austen novel. And I know that she also does like historical fiction. But we're in Persuasion, and I read the first 6 chapters last night. Fortunately, she was unable to read it because she didn't have the book with. She could not bring the book with her copy of the book, and then her and her family went to go see some movies. Which, by the way, I am so jealous of that because she can see 2 movies. Her family can afford to see 2 movies in a row. I think. Either that or they do something illegal, sneak in the theater. No, I'm sure that it's a really cheap theater, so they can risk seeing 2 movies, one right after the other. But yeah, either way, I'm jealous that she can afford to do that. They could do that. They could see 2 movies at the movie theater. But anyway, so she was unable to start it, but I didn't, and she did say she might potentially start reading it, but, I realized, okay, you're not going to get to it last night. She was not going to get into last night. I guarantee you she was going to be too tired and only get through, like, maybe the first 2 chapters. And last night, because I was already kind of irritable and tired, despite 2 glasses of tea, they kept me up all night. I still, I was kind of like, a little like, dang it, really? I have to wait until you can catch up? Which probably won't happen, because I pretty much read faster than she does. Not super fast, I'm not a speed reader, but compared to her, I read a little bit faster than she does. And plus, I have no patience. I am a bad friend. I have no patience. But, so I read the first 6 chapters, and I think I will probably like this better than Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice, because I feel like I'm a little too familiar with those 2. So I guess that harks to the whole idea of hype, in a way, like how some people don't like books, or when they read a book that's hype, they're like, oh, this is good, it's okay, not the best, not as hype, not as great as some people seem to think it is. So, in a way, I guess it's the same thing where, like, if I hear so much about the book, then it's like, oh, it's good, I enjoyed it, but it's not, I'm not like, oh my god, this is the best book ever, I think it's just, if a book becomes too popular, become too aware of it, and learn too much about the book, not exactly the whole story, but just get some, people constantly talk about how great it is and occasionally spoil you for it, then it's like, it kind of ruins the mystery of it all, of reading the book, and the excitement of reading this new, exciting book that I'm unfamiliar with. If that makes sense. So far we've been introduced to the characters. Anne Elliot, her father, Sir Walter Elliot. She has 2 sisters, Elizabeth and Mary, and Mary is such a drama queen. She needs to get over herself. That's the impression I got. She's one of those people that just needs to get over herself. And we have been introduced to, and we've had the first mention of Captain Frederick Wentworth. And we learn their backstory. It's basically just Jane Austen tells us that they knew each other and that they were in love, but Lady, what's her name? Lady, what is her name? lady, where is it? Let me see. Lady Russell had told her that you cannot, this guy is not worth it because you're not wealthy, you know. And of course, the family has moved to Bath because her and her father her father's kind of in financial straits, so he has to sell the house or at least get boarders to live in the house. You know, he can't. They have to move out, but someone else has to live there because he doesn't want to. Because it's still their house, and they don't want their house destroyed, so they gotta find the right person to live. And ladies Russell and some other people, their friends suggest, ooh, you should get a Navy man, a sailor or whatever. And that's when they bring up Captain Wentworth, Frederick Wentworth. He is essentially, he's the brother, I think, of someone that they suggested renting the house to. Something like that. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And I'm going to read 6 more chapters tonight, or this evening, or this late afternoon. But anyway, that is what's going on with my reading. Would love to hear what you guys are reading currently today. And is there any books that you finished today? Would love to hear in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell icon below if you're interested to know when I update videos, which aren't usually Wednesdays and Sundays, but when I post these videos, when I do these kind of videos, what I'm gonna do is post these just as soon as I finish filming them. And I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!